Hi, and welcome everybody to our Friday Acceleration program. If it's Friday, 12 noon Pacific, it is Acceleration time. Great to be with you. This is a live program. I'm here with a special guest, Neale Donald Walsch. I'm going to introduce him in just a moment. But first, let me shout out to all of the folks watching, the Humanity Stream Plus members, friends on Neale Donald Walsh's Facebook page, the Humanities Team Facebook page, our friends out on the Sign Network, people in humanities.team. So thank you all for joining us. We've had a larger and larger crowd that's joining us every Friday. And we have a fabulous program in store here for you today. So thanks for being here. A little about Humanities Team. We are a global nonprofit based in the United States. Our entire focus is supporting people on their conscious journey, creating planetary awakening, and manifesting flourishing in all parts of life. As a nonprofit, we don't have any shareholders, so there's nobody being enriched. 100% of all of our revenues go towards supporting people on their conscious journey, planetary awakening. So now there's a couple of programs that a little later in this program I'm going to tell you a little bit about, just to mention them here as we get started. One is called PACE, and PACE stands for Planetary Awakening, Conscious Evolution. And we're going to talk about picking up the pace because the whole focus of this PACE project is in 20 years from now, to manifest this new humanity, this new earth, this conscious earth, where we come into the fullness of our conscious selves in 20 years. Now is the time. Neale and I were actually just chatting before coming into this program, and we were sharing, boy, if ever the time was to really pick up the pace in a serious way, it's now. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit. We'll also talk about Humanity Stream Plus, which is this groundbreaking new platform that Humanities Team has created that is soon in the next week going to be available out on Roku, Apple TV, Google Play, all of the platforms out there. It's already available on handheld devices and on your computer, but we're taking it to all platforms so people can grab this conscious content in any region of the world at this very affordable price. So we'll talk more about those here shortly. Let me, the theme of our program today is catching up with Neale Donald Walsch on his free video series that he created with Humanities Team, a masterclass that he created with us called Our Final Frontier, PACE, Humanity Stream Plus, and Neale's new book that came out, The God Solution, a fabulous new book. So we're going to get to all of those things here during the hour. And let me just welcome in our special guest, Neale Donald Walsch. Neale, and here he is live from Ashland, Oregon. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you, Steve. It's lovely to be here, and thanks for the invitation. It seems like just yesterday that we created Humanities Team. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, actually, with an idea, that it feels like the whole world is contriving in a way to create a challenging moment. But and I remember having the thought, but who will be on Humanities Team? And the thought woke me up completely. I raced to my computer to see if the words Humanities Team were taken, because at that time I knew that every single clever domain name was gone. So, but I typed in humanitiesteam.com, sure that surely somebody's already taken this and they're using it. But in fact, the domain name was available. So I grabbed it, and I grabbed every permutation and every misspelling of it so that we would capture the domain name Humanities Team. Then it was about forming the team and creating that. And that's, of course, where Steve came in, because we held a little meeting in my home many years ago now. And I invited Steve and a handful of others. There couldn't have been 5 or 6 people there. But fortunately for us, Steve was one of those 5 or 6 people. And he jumped in and took a leadership role and has been the worldwide executive director of Humanities Team ever since. And without his leadership, nothing would have happened. because I don't have that kind of leadership ability, and he does. So and you're seeing that right here today. He's created this weekly opportunity for all of us to gather and to in fact pick up the pace of what was the original instigating idea behind Humanity's Team, to help the world understand who we really are and what could offer us what I think is the only opportunity we really have to create the world for which we have so long yearned, but have not yet fully created. So I hope that you'll pay attention to what's being offered here today, and that you'll be taking a close look at the PACE program and see if you can find yourself there. Because the point that I hope that I can make with you today is, I said without Steve, none of this would have happened. Let me tell you where we are now. Without you, nothing that we choose to create in the future will occur. You are now in a leadership position. You are now in a place where you can really become a spiritual leader on our planet. Let me just share with you one small thing before I turn it back over to Steve. But let me just say this. People have often said, what is a spiritual leader? What does it mean to be a spiritual leader? A spiritual leader, in my opinion, is not someone who says, follow me. A spiritual leader is someone who says, I'll go first. And that's where you come in. To learn more about how you can come into that place, follow the rest of this program.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that, Neale. And yeah, as you were talking, boy, remembering back to the spring of 2003 and then June 2003, where you arranged for the launch to be in Wilsonville, Oregon, and we had about 800 people with us from around the world. Just an unbelievable time, really, the launch. And now, really coming up on 20 years, we're now 18 years in, and so much has happened. And as you mentioned, the key thing here are you, the viewers, that are here with us, because Neale and I and all of these marvelous partners that Neale has in his organization and Humanity's Team, that we can't do this. So PACE is actually a level playing field. It's a level playing field, and as Neale mentions, we're inviting everybody to come down on that field, to be a leader. We are all more conscious than we know. We are, in fact, if you've read Awaken the Species, Neale's book that came out just before the God Solution, this is one of its key points, is, feel into where you are on this journey. You are a whole lot more awake, more conscious than you know. And it's time that we all really stand in the knowing of who we are, and which isn't to say that we're all walking on water unless we are, but that we're very conscious in many ways. Most of us have been doing this for decades, and some viewers, no doubt, less time than that. But there are many ways in which we're more conscious. We've moved to relational instead of transactional. There's a heart element. There's a strong spiritual element, this connection or communion with God, with the divine, and with each other and all of life. So we're just inviting you to come down on the field with us. Stand in your full consciousness. Let's continue to accelerate our journey. We do that with some of the tools we have. We're going to actually be talking about Neale's programs that he's created with Humanity's Team that are incredibly powerful tools when we talk about becoming more conscious. So let's jump in and have some fun. We have a video that we want to show. It's very short. It's only 2.5 minutes. And this is a video from Neale's free program series. He created 3 hours, a 3-hour video series with Humanity's Team it's free. It's called The Secret to Living Your Best Possible Life. And this 2.5 minute sequence that we're going to look at is called, let's see, The first one, okay, living your best possible life, harnessing the power of metaphysics. Okay, harnessing the power of metaphysics. And Neale talks about being like a wave to divinity. So let's take a look at it together, and then Neale and I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about this program and how you can register for this free video series. It's a 3-hour free video series. It's very powerful. Okay, let's roll tape here and take a look.
Technology here, if I could, that I use a lot, that really helps people get a hold of. They can just grab onto a very large concept. Because when we say to people, I've found when I'm giving my talks, my lectures, my workshops around the world, interviews with the media and so forth, when I start saying, you know, God and we are one and all the rest, it seems like a lovely thought, but it's very hard for people to get their arms around that and to really hold on to that in any kind of substantial, realistic, moment-to-moment way. So I've been given in the dialogue by God this analogy. God said, think of it this way. You are to me as a wave is to the ocean. That is, you are not other than me. You are not separate from me at any time, but merely an expression, and a powerful one at that, a glorious, powerful expression of me, but an individuation, an individual expression, a singular expression of me as a wave is the singular expression of the ocean. Separate from the ocean in no way, other than the ocean in no way, but simply an expression arising from the ocean. And when the expression is full and complete, it then recedes back into the ocean and rejoins, if you please, the ocean to become part of the ocean whole once again, and then to re-emerge as another expression and another wave. So I always say to my audiences, let's make waves. Let's decide that we are in fact no different from the ocean than the ocean is from that the wave rather is from the ocean. That we are an emerging expression, an individuation of divinity itself. And so when we start talking about harnessing the power of metaphysics, we're talking about step one is to realize and to understand, and not just to understand intellectually, but to embrace and then to, how do I put it, move into our direct experience of it, that we are an expression on the ocean of divinity, that we are an individuation of God itself, in no way separate from God. So that's where we start.
All right, very powerful. Boy, that'll be fun to talk about this. So, and again, this is from The Secret to Living Your Best Possible Life. This is the 3-hour free video series. We've got on the screen the URL you can go to register for this free video series. We invite you to do so. It's very powerful. It does lead into a masterclass, an 8-week masterclass that then we created with Neale called Our Final Frontier. And perhaps that'll be of interest to you as well. But even if it isn't of interest, this 3-hour video series called Living Your Best Possible Life, The Secret to Living Your Best Possible Life, will be very valuable, and invite you to go and register for that. Now, Neale, let's come back to this powerful metaphor that you're talking about. Wow, so we're like waves under the ocean.
It's one of the single most impacting messages that I received in the Conversations with God experience. I've always, Steve, like a lot of people, I've always had a sense that there is some higher power. I don't know whether you're aware of it, but recent surveys over the past several years have shown anthropologists have been taking surveys regularly now in all the countries of the world, in all the cultures on the planet, asking a single question: do you believe in some sort of higher power? And amazingly, 8 out of 10 people, that's 80% of the world's people, from culture to culture, nation to nation, location to location, agree that there is some kind of higher power out there. But we can't quite come to a second level of agreement, which is, what is that power? How is it used? What, if anything, does it want? Is it even personified? And what is our relationship to that power? That's what I call the God dilemma. We agree there is something that some people call God, but our dilemma is we can't come to an agreement about hardly any aspect of it. And so when I got that message in my conversation with God, in the dialogue that I was blessed to experience now 25 years ago, when I was told, Neale, you're like a wave is to the ocean. You're not separate from the ocean in any way. You're not the whole ocean. See, this is the problem, Steve. When most people hear, you are God or you are divine, they immediately get to that place of humility, understandably, where they don't want to feel, well, I can't claim that. I'm not really that. I don't even feel that way. But that's why God gave us that wonderful analogy. I'm not suggesting to anyone that you are the whole ocean, but are you an arising of the ocean? Are you an individuation of the ocean that we call God? Are you a singular expression of divinity? Yes, you are. And to fail, to choose to deny that, to suggest, no, I'm not even that. I'm not even a singular expression of divinity, would be to take the greatest gift that life has given to all of us and to simply ignore it and not use it and to say, no, thank you. So what Humanity's team is hoping to do is to help everyone understand the fundamental basis of all of the world's religions, which we have not yet fully embraced or accepted. But that's where we're going here in the next 20 years. There will come a time in the years just ahead, if enough of us can step into the living of this model, when religions all over the world and people all over the world will come to an awareness, you know what? There is only one thing in the universe. All things are one thing. There is only one thing. And all things are part of the one thing there is. And that gives me, as an individual, speaking now about you, of course, an opportunity to play a role much larger, much more powerful, much more blessed than anything you might previously have imagined.
No kidding. Boy, Neale, as you're speaking, I'm remembering back to the first three books, Conversations with God, book 1, 2, and 3, and just how this was in the 90s that I read these. Of course, book 1 came out about 1995, and I remember where I sat in my townhouse, and I was just at that decision point where I realized I was one of two things, and these are not, you can't be both. So I was either Steve Farrell, this body, born by Joe and Linda with this lifetime, and then I'd be gone. Or I was this wave under the ocean, a part of the divine, on an eternal journey, limitless, and that my basic nature was goodness. And where I really lived into that goodness, announce and declare, express and fulfill, become and experience who I am, where I know myself to be that divine self, that would be an entirely different life. And of course, this is when I left Silicon Valley, when I made that decision that I'm actually this other person, this on the eternal journey. I'm not this person that was owning my life up until that time.
You see, Steve, this is the central question that all of us face at one point in our life. I can't imagine any thinking person, really, who hasn't had at least one night rolling your head on the pillow, trying to figure it all out. Who am I? And what am I doing here? And what's this really all about? Every one of us has had moments like that when we start searching for answers. But sadly, we have rejected most of the answers that we have received from our intuitive wisdom inside because we think it's too good to be true. I remember saying to God when I was having my conversation with God, which, by the way, we are all having all the time, but it's another whole subject. When I was having that conversation, I said, you know what the problem is here? Your message is too good to be true. And I remember God just chuckling and saying, you know what, Neale, if I can't be too good to be true, who can? But here's the question. See, we all get to ask, who am I really? Ultimately, who is this? Am I, as Steve was just saying, a singular physical entity, not that much different from a dolphin or a whale or a bird in the sky or a fish in the sea? Or is there something more to who I am? Is it possible that I'm a spiritual entity having a body and a mind? But what if I am not this and not this? What if I am something that simply has this? Now, if that's true, and I'm going to suspect that most of you watching this have come to at least that agreement. You say, you know what, I agree, Neale. You're preaching to the choir here. I already get that I am a spiritual entity. But the question behind that question is, then what am I doing here? If I'm a spiritual entity, why have I taken a physical body? What am I trying to accomplish here by having done so? Let that be our question for the day, and let your answer be reflected in the living of your life. Because when your answer to that question is reflected in the living of your life, you will move through life in such a way, I promise you, that you will change irrevocably and for the better the lives of every person whose life you touch.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. And that's what we're doing here on this journey together, the Conversations with God team, Humanities team, and conscious people all over the world. I know what Neale is describing here probably isn't new to any viewers. It's valuable to be reminded of these things, because sometimes where people have more Western world jobs and with checklists and thinking mental, emotional kind of stuff, we can forget that about these important things that we're talking about. It's why
And not only
actually
to
I
be,
left my career behind.
yeah, excuse
Yeah.
me, Steve, for the interruption, but I want to say not only to be reminded of these things, because many of us are reminded and reminded and reminded, but to be actually shown how this information can be used, how we can render it functional. See, the challenge is to move from conception to function, so that we are not just stuck with bunches of concepts, which we've already heard 1,000 times. We are all one. We're all part of God. But it's because I got to tell you, I'm a skeptic. When I got to that point, my first question was, yeah, I got it. But so what? So what? How does it function? And what we've been trying to do and seeking to do, and I think have succeeded in doing in Conversations with God, is presenting tools, offering tools for a wide list of messengers and teachers, not just from me and not just from Steve, but from many, many people. Tools that you can then get your hands on and start to use as a practical matter to move from concept to function in your understanding of the role you have an opportunity to play as a singularization of divinity.
Yes, and when we move to function, when we fully move to function, that's this vision. That's this endpoint in this 20-year project, where we become a fully conscious individuals, humanity. We elevate humanity into the fullness of the invitation of life, where the earth and all of life on earth is participating. It's the so-called heaven on earth, where we come into the fullness of the function of what we're speaking about. Now, this free program series called The Secret to Living Your Best Possible Life. Again, it's a free program. It's a video series. It's 3 hours. There's a lot that you'll gather from that. Now, it leads into Neale's masterclass called Our Final Frontier. It's an 8-week program. We're going to watch a segment from that program. And this program is amazing. There are 24 modules in it. Neale does mentoring live. Originally, it was with live mentoring. It now has recorded sessions where you're watching Neale respond to questions from people that have gone through this program. And many hundreds of people have gone through Our Final Frontier. It's an incredibly powerful program. When we put this together, Neale and I looked at the 10 series, Conversations with God book series, and we said, how can we distill this entire 10 series of books into this masterclass? And we did our very best to accomplish that. Not that I'm not sure that we did in a perfect way, but we certainly got what we thought were some or maybe most of the most powerful tools from the series into Our Final Frontier. Let's go to a 2.5 minute clip now to look at that, and then we're going to come back and talk about the clip.
Do not therefore ask for anything, but wait. Wait, you might say. How can I ever manifest something if I can't ask for anything? Fair question. And here's the answer. Call it forth. Let the universe know that you already have what you're seeking to experience. You already have abundance. You already have love. You already have fulfillment. You already have peace. You have these things within. You desire to notice this more fully in your external experience is what causes you to simply bring it forward in a near future moment. It's desire, not fear or lack, or even thinking that you don't have enough, but desire that produces manifestation. Oh, and by the way, the fastest way that I know of to manifest anything is to bring it forward in the present experience of another. This is because it is often easier for me to be generous with another and see what I can do to meet their needs than it is to be generous with myself and meet what I imagine to be my needs. And this is because when I am in the space of another who clearly believes they need help in some way, my own idea that it is I who needs help vanishes. It is in such moments that my deepest awareness returns, and I become clear that not only do I not need what I thought I needed, I suddenly see that I actually have enough of it to give away. This crystal clear awareness produces a miracle in two ways. It creates a miracle of instant having in the life of another, and it creates the miracle of instant knowing in my own life that I have enough of what I thought I did not have enough of. This produces a profound energy shift that actually brings me the experience that I just brought to another. The experience of having even more of what I just gave away. So I found in my life that everything changes when I shift my perspective.
Wow. Timeless wisdom there, huh, Neale?
Wow, I mean, I really had it together when we made that recording, and you know what's wonderful about giving people a chance to see a couple of minutes of that? That's the kind of information-packed data, information-packed sequences that you will see in this entire program. It's not that they didn't pick out the 2.5 best minutes. You could have dropped it like a good book. You ever read a really good book? You can open the book to almost anywhere, and wherever you open the book, there's something you're really, really, really glad that you read. This is like that. The program we're talking about here right now, it's hard for me to say this because I'm part of the program, but Steve and I worked hard on this together to put together a program that you could dip into almost anywhere and say to yourself after watching it for a few moments, wow, I got to take notes on this. This is powerful stuff, because it is. Because you know what, guys, before we got deeply into this work with Humanity's Team, Steve and I was looking around. I couldn't find anywhere on the internet or anywhere in my life where there was a source of this kind, their access to this kind of information so quickly available and so easily accessible. I couldn't find it anywhere. So here it is. Now it's here. And you know why it's here? Let me just share something with you, because you may not have thought about this, but let me share this with you. Let me tell you why it's here now. You brought it here. Understand that it is your desire. See, there's a part of you that said, I want to play. I want to act. I want to be part of this. I want to be an actor in this particular drama in a very positive and powerful and impactful way. I want to do what I can do. If I only had the information at hand, if I only had the tools that I hear, the other wonderful teachers of this day and age that they have. And I'm not talking about myself, by the way. I'm talking about all the other wonderful teachers and messengers that are out there. So you may have said to yourself at some point, all I want is more information, some of the tools, and then I can really feel that I can move forward. Because you know what? When I talk to people individually, that's the first thing they say to me. If I had the tools that God gave you, I could move forward very quickly with my own deepest desires. Well, guess what? Your desire to be a model, to be an exemplar, to be one of those who leads Humanity's Team to complete its mission, to help the world understand that we are all one and that we are creating our own reality right here on earth. Your demonstration of creating your own reality is being observed right now. You, in that sense, in that metaphysical sense, projected through your desire the creation of what you're going to have an opportunity to become part of as you begin to explore these programs that Steve is telling you about right now. So make no mistake about it. There's no coincidence here. Even you're hearing about this today, even you're seeing these few clips today, this is not coincidental. You brought this into your life in just this way. So you can say to yourself, thank you, God, and thank me, and thank you. Thank all of us for allowing ourselves to step into the expression of that desire that's produced the outcome that you're watching right now.
Yes, it is. And Neale, I remember when Conversations with God Book 1 came out, it was on the New York Times bestseller list for how many weeks? It was a remarkable number of weeks. It was in the top 10, even as maybe as number one for a long,
over
long
a year,
time. It was
well
amazing.
over a year.
Over a year,
Yes.
Conversations with God. But that was just book one, and then all of these other incredible Conversations with God books came out. And I remember, Neale, when we were working on the free program, The Secret to Living Your Best Possible Life, and then the masterclass that follows, Our Final Frontier, we spent over 3 months, remember, on weekends, back and forth, Saturdays, Sundays, throughout the week, working on this program. And it was a labor of love, but to try and pluck out of these 10 books some of the most important, powerful teachings when we talk about how to make functional our conscious self, to step fully into this place of connection or communion with the divine, where we functionally live out what that means. An amazing program. Now, if you go to the humanitiesteam.org website, at the top, on the top left, you'll see masterclasses, and then it has free courses as a pull down, and also masterclasses. And under the free courses, you'll find that Secret to Living Your Best Possible Life, so you can sign up there, and you leave your name and email address. We'll send you the 3 links to the 3 1-hour sessions. And then on the pull down where it says Masterclass, if you scroll down, you'll get to Our Final Frontier. And if you click on that, then you'll see the 24 modules, the mentoring, the private Facebook group, all of these things that are part of this powerful masterclass that we created. That 2.5-minute video that we just looked at was a clip from Our Final Frontier. So an amazing masterclass. When we talk about tools to really live consciously, this is one for the library. Now, I want to bring in another way to take possession of Our Final Frontier. This whole PACE program that we talked about, we can talk about a little more, and also Humanity Stream Plus, we can talk about a little more. Let me first go to Humanity Stream Plus, because in this, as we talk about 20 years, in 20 years, really bringing the full function of our conscious self to our daily living, and bringing it to the whole planet, elevating the whole of humanity, not just ourselves and our household, but the whole of humanity to a conscious humanity, to a conscious earth. It's a big lift. And so if you're going to announce a bold vision like that, then you better have some bold tools, a bold plan that enables the whole of humanity from any region, from any country, from any community on the earth, 7 by 24, to be able to reach into powerful conscious practices at a very, very affordable price. And this is what Humanity Stream Plus was designed to be. Our Final Frontier, which Neale and I are talking about, this is one of the premium masterclasses on this platform called Humanity Stream Plus. So if you go through that free program, and then if you look at the Our Final Frontier program with all of the modules and things, and it's of interest to you, you can start a free trial. You don't even have to buy this product, but start a 7-day free trial on Humanity Stream Plus. You just leave your name and email address there. You start a free trial, and then you can see for yourself. You can go into Neale's program, Our Final Frontier, or any of these other. There are 10 master classes at the present time. There are then 5 other transformational education programs. There's over 550 hours of conscious programming on this platform. Now, one of the things I want you to pay attention to as we're scrolling it is look how visually, graphically easy to use this platform is. In our industry, transformational education, most everybody's using another platform that's technically challenging to get around. This is like Netflix or Amazon or your favorite streaming for TV or movies. You just click on the class that you're interested in, and it takes you right into the class and all of the modules, module 1, 2, 3 through module 24, mentoring, etc. You can't get lost. So my 87-year-old mother who doesn't use the computer anymore, you put her in Humanity Stream Plus and you just can't get lost. You say, Mom, which of these programs would you be interested in? And she'll say, well, this one. And we say, well, let's click on it. And then all of the modules are right there. You click on any module and you watch it. And then the next module comes up to watch. So you can't get lost. It is super easy to use, over 550 hours. Every week right now, we're actually adding a new transformational education program. So it's not static. What you see here is we're adding to every single week. There's live mentoring. We've got Plus in there, Humanity Stream Plus. So because it's not just all of the content here on the platform, there's live mentoring. Our Global Oneness Summit, we give you a free upgrade, so all the videos become available to you. When we do our Spiritual Leadership Award, you come in early with Humanity's team to speak to our spiritual leader. Neale Donald Walsch was our very first Spiritual Leadership Award winner. This was back in 2004. This year, we're giving it to Greg Braden on September 15th. So if you join Humanity Stream Plus, you'll come in early and you'll get a chance to talk to Greg. And you have access to our private Facebook community, our own virtual community called humanities.team. And we give you free completion certificates on all of the programs as you go through. So if you want to, on your resume or CV, reference Our Final Frontier or other master classes, you can put it right on your CV or resume because you've got a completion certificate indicating that you did go through the program. So, and then this is $480 a year. So for 12 months, this over 550 hours of programming, 10 master classes, 5 other programs, new programs every week, all of this stuff for $480 a year. And you don't have to credit card it in the beginning. You can just do a 7-day free trial, and then there's a 7-day guarantee after that. So for 2 weeks, you're using the program on us. So this is part of our strategy right here for PACE. When we talk about PACE, planetary awakening and conscious evolution, and we say in 20 years, seriously, not just as some levity or joke, but seriously that in 20 years, that your household, that every community, that every country, that the entire world is conscious. That this new humanity that Barbara Marx Hubbard used to talk about, Homo Universalis, where we now migrate from Homo sapien to Homo Universalis, that this is part of how we believe we'll get there by creating a groundbreaking platform like this, creating the 7-day free trial, bringing in programs like Our Final Frontier with Neale Donald Walsch and other amazing programs. You'll see Michael Beckwith and Panache Desai and Barbara Marx Hubbard, Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and the Heart Math Leaders and Lynn McTaggart. I actually have my own program called Conscious Leadership. There are many, many amazing programs that help us to become fully conscious, to step into the fullness of who we can be, that are based on this platform. So let me just come back to Neale, and we can talk more about Our Final Frontier, Humanity Stream Plus, and our PACE vision. We're also going to talk here in a moment about his new book, The God Solution. So I covered a lot there, Neale. I'll come up for air here. Neale's program alone, our final frontier. Wow. Let me tell you, his program alone is worth $480. I promise you.
Yeah, and it's an investment. That's how I have always looked at these kinds of things. It's a real opportunity to demonstrate to yourself the commitment that you have made to yourself to step into this new demonstration of yourself. And so you make that commitment, and it's a commitment of all of your resources, not just your financial resources, but of course your energetic resources, your time resources. How much time do I have on my calendar and so forth? How much of what is part of my life, my financial abundance, my time abundance, my talent abundance, how much of all that I've been given by life am I willing to give back to life in order to impact life in such a way that I can help to co-create, collaboratively produce the kind of life that all of us have yearned for, have heard about, have wondered if it's even possible, and if it could actually happen. We're so close here to reaching critical mass in this outreach, in this undertaking, in this effort. Critical mass, some people say, well, it'll take a long time to reach critical mass. A critical mass is not one more than half. It's not like 51%. It's not even 25%. It's not even 10%. Did you know that critical mass is not even 5% of the whole? Physicists tell us that critical mass lies somewhere tantalizingly between 2.5 and 5% of the whole. That is, when somewhere between 2.5 to 5% of all of us on Earth grab a hold of an idea and start to demonstrate it and to prove its viability, suddenly the first domino falls. And when that first domino falls, the rest will follow. There's evidence of this all over the world, by the way, with other ideas that people have grasped and latched onto and decided to move forward with. So we see that when trends occur, thanks to this incredible tool we now have called the internet. We didn't have this even when I was younger. Forget about 50 or 100 years ago, when I was just a younger man. This was not part of our daily reality, what you're watching right now, to say nothing of your opportunity to interact with it and play a part in it. So this is not an unreasonable expectation that we could reach critical mass in a relatively short period of time. In 20 years, we could reach critical mass. That first domino will fall and the rest will follow, happily and joyously saying, finally, at last, humanity has understood itself and has grasped the ability, the power that it has to create itself. We've been waiting as a civilization for this to become reality for a very long time. And now we're 20 years or less away from that. If you choose to play a role, if you choose to make an investment of what life has given to you so that you can invest into life, the possibility of all of us experiencing the dream for which we have so long yearned. That's, in a few words, the opportunity that's being placed before you now by humanity's team. I truly hope that you'll take a look at that and have your own conversation with God about it and say to God, is this my opportunity? Is this my chance to play a real viable and meaningful role in the transformation of the entire planet? And listen to the answer that you get from the God of your understanding. I trust that completely.
So Neale, you just answered the question, Vance. We're just looking at questions that people are posing that are out on your page and our page and Sign Network, etc. And humanities.team. Vance just asked the question of, Neale, how close are we to this this critical mass point where we this tipping point where we become this new humanity? And I think you answered that. You said 20 years or less, we can do it if you play a role, if viewers play a role. But do you want to say more about that?
Well, I was just simply going to add, if we're talking in terms of percentages, just to begin to kind of make this more concrete, I'm going to say right now we're probably, see, it's not a question of how close we are percentage-wise. If I said, well, we're 90% there, to be honest with you, I think that would be too optimistic to say that. But here's what you need to know about how this works. This whole process of the expansion of consciousness is a process that moves forward exponentially. That is, I was told in conversations with God, when this does occur, it's going to be like that. It's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 progression. It's a 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 progression. It's a folding over multiple times, and it's an exponential progression. So when that first domino falls, it's not going to take a long time after that. That's why I'm suggesting to you that whatever the percentage of us that is now living at a place of I want to say expanded consciousness. Not that we're all fully expanded, as Steve said a moment ago. We're not suggesting that anyone's walking on water here, but is there an expansion of the consciousness of the average person that you're seeing? More people talking about these things than you did even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago? Are there more people in your inner circle than there were even 5 years ago who are starting to begin conversations around these kinds of topics? The answer for most of us is absolutely yes. So I think that we are just a few steps away from that first domino, and then we'll see the exponential increase in the consciousness of human beings on the planet. And yes, I think that's easily achievable in the next 20 years or even less, if you're willing to join us in the undertaking.
So
It's been said before, and I'm going to say it again. All the armies in the world cannot stop an idea whose time has come. And this is an idea whose time has come.
yes, it has. And the beautiful thing is and most of us on the conscious journey that are down the pathways understand this, but that it's not a sacrifice. When I made the decision to move from Silicon Valley, where it was all financial return, financial treasure, to this life with Humanity's Team, and there's no question but that this is where I'm enjoying true prosperity. The real treasure chest is here. This other American dream thing, where that's bigger, better, more, is just this illusion where you're on a desert and it's out there, and then you get to the number, whatever that might be, your financial wealth number, and then, well, guess what? It just doubled, and then it doubles again, and then it doubles again. You're just walking across a desert, never getting there. There is no there, and so it's anything but a sacrifice to come into the fullness of this conscious living, into this full prosperity. We call it a boomerang effect in Humanity's Team, because when we put ourselves into pure service and where we know ourselves as the goodness of God as our basis, that there's this boomerang effect that's coming back as we're choosing a home, as we're choosing a spouse, as we're planning a vacation, on and on and on, where, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I wonder how this happened, and then I'll often smile and say, I know how it happened. Thank you, God. Because we're just on one big team, and that's
See,
the
the
whole
real
point.
question is, what are we trying to do? The real question is, what are we trying to do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year in our lives? Are we really just trying to get the girl, get the guy, get the car, get the job, get the better job, get the better house, get the better car, get the better spouse, get the better this, get the better that? Is that what we're trying to do? I mean, fair enough. If that's what your goal is in life, I understand, because I had those goals too for most of my adult life. And then I suddenly woke up and I got to the place that Steve is describing, because, not to brag, but just to notice, I suddenly got to a place where I had most or all of that. And I still didn't have the kind of inner peace, serenity, deep understanding, and sense of fulfillment in my life that I began to finally and at last fully experience when I moved into the agenda of my soul. That is, when I began to complete the mission, if I could have put it that way, that I came here and that all human beings come here to complete. We haven't come here to get the guy, get the girl, get the car, get the job, get the house, get the better car, get the better job. That's not why we came here. That's not why the spiritual entity that we are assumed a body and a mind. There's something much larger going on here. Shakespeare put it perfectly. Remember what he said? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. And there are. There's more to be done. And once we step into even just a moment of filling that agenda, fulfilling the prospect, and experiencing who we really are. Let me ask you just a question real fast. Have you ever had a moment in your life when you were fully who you really are, moved with precision, with insight, with wisdom, with clarity, with compassion, with understanding, and with love? Have you ever had that kind of course you have. Most of us have had moments like that. And when you walk away from such a moment that you gave just the right advice or offered just the right kind of help, or were there in just a perfect way for that other person, when you've walked away from that singular moment and you said to yourself, now that's who I am. Now that's who I am. And that's why I came here, to experience the fullness of who I am and to expand that in that process, which we call evolution. When we begin serving that process and allowing ourselves to pick up the tools with which to build that kind of a life, then we know in truth why we came here, and we can make of this at last the life of which we've always dreamed. I wish I knew this when I was your age. I'm going to hazard a guess here that I'm probably older than most of you, not all of you, but probably older than most of you who are watching this video right now. So for you, I have only this to say about me. This is what I think about me. So old, so soon, so smart, so late. But look what you've created. Look what you've created in your reality. Pick up the tools and let's build tomorrow together as part of humanity's team.
Beautiful, beautiful, Neale. So let's talk here for a moment about this marvelous new book that you've come out with, The God Solution, The Power of Love. Let me share. We're going to do a full 4-hour free workshop on this on Friday, October 15th in the morning, if you want to just bookmark that. But we'd like to just talk about it briefly and invite you to go out and buy the book if these messages resonate that we'll share here from the book. I've read it. It's an incredibly powerful book. Boy, does it describe the God that I know, and just all of the storytelling in there, which brings home really who God is, the God as a solution with the power of love, which is what God is. It's amazing. So, yeah, Neale, what things would you share?
Yeah, not just love, because no one would disagree. Everyone says, yes, God is love. Everyone says, yeah, I agree with that. But God is a particular kind of love. What the God solution proposes, Steve, it places before humanity the solution to what has been the God dilemma. I mentioned earlier that 8 out of 10 people on the planet agree there is a higher power. You know, there are 4,300 religions on the planet right now. You heard that right. I didn't make that number up. You can check it out. There are 4,300 religions, individual religions on the face of the earth right now. With that many religions, but we still are faced with the God dilemma. And the God dilemma, if you please, is this. If there really is a God, then why is the world the way it is? Why aren't things any better than the way they are? Why are we faced with what we are faced with in this day and time? And most importantly, what, if anything, can we do about it? How can we use this higher power? That's what I call the God solution. And what we're calling for in the God solution is a redefining of God, to redefine God as pure love, not just love. When I say that, yeah, God is love, everyone in my audience goes, of course, who would disagree with that? We thought you came here to bring us a new idea. Ladies and gentlemen, the new idea is not that God is love, but that God is pure love. What is pure love? It is a love that needs, asks for, requires and commands nothing in return. Now that's spiritually revolutionary. And the book describes not only that kind of love, but how to apply it. And the entire second half of the book talks about the mechanics of metaphysics, how to use that kind of pure love in a practical, functional way. It really is a culmination, truly, of all the Conversations with God books. It's not a dialogue book. It's a first-person narrative that summarizes everything that I've been given in the Conversations with God material. It's a book that I consider the God solution, and I hope that you'll give it a look. By the way, we're offering it for free. You don't even have to buy it if you don't want to. I've been posting it in installments. You can't put an entire book. They won't let you, but they will let you do it in installments on my Facebook page. So if you go to my Facebook page, the book is there for reading for free. And if you'd like to obtain your own copy, you can do that as well. So take a look at if the God solution might not be just what you were looking at and looking for in this moment in time, as a supplement to the programs that Steve and I have created for you here at Humanities Team. And you put it all together, and by golly, are you ready to go or what?
Yes, you are. Beautiful, Neale. And as I mentioned, I've read the book. It is a very powerful book. I invite you to go read it. You'll fall in love with God all over again. And it does such a beautiful job of really talking.
And you'll
about
fall in love with
God.
and you'll fall in love with yourself again. You will fall in love all over again with yourself. Remember how you felt about yourself when you were 2, 3, 5, 6, and maybe if you're lucky when you're 8 and 9 years old, where you felt that you were, wow, I am wonderful. I'm extraordinary. I'm really very special. Wow. Remember when life allowed you to think that way about yourself? Well, now you can go back to that idea about yourself again. And you can say, I am all of those things because God is all of those things. And now watch me prove it.
Yes, a marvelous book. Wow, well, this hour has sure gone fast. What a pleasure it has been, and we've covered so much ground here. We started out by talking about PACE, this planetary awakening and conscious evolution. We're a 20-year project where we're saying 20 years from now, so in 2041, a fully conscious humanity, a fully conscious Earth, this Homo Universalis is what Barbara Marx Hubbard called it, that where we evolve into this new species. We started out talking about PACE, and Neale and I had such a beautiful conversation, and Neale's saying, how do we get there? We get there through you. We certainly aren't going to make this happen in Humanities Team and Conversations with God alone. This is where we're all coming down on a level playing field. And all that we have to do is just be fully conscious, where we talk honestly about what consciousness is, how we're functionalizing it, and things that we're working on. Where it's just an honest, we speak honestly to people about our own conscious life, what's working and what things we're working on. And then we take courses that can help us reach into the fullness of conscious living. Most of us are on that journey. So we take courses that we feel called to, where we see the possibility of tools that can help accelerate our journey. And we do our very best to create 4 or 5 new masterclasses every year and bring in other transformational education that are tools like this that support our conscious living. I mentioned also Humanities Stream Plus that we talked about. And if you go to humanitiesstream.tv, on the screen you can see a longer web address. But also if you go to humanitiesstream.tv, you'll go right to the page itself. And again, you can check that out and see if you want to try a 7-day free trial. Neale's program, his free program series called The Secret to Living Your Best Possible Life. We invited you to try that. It's an amazing program. And then if you feel called, his masterclass, it's part of Humanities Stream Plus, called Our Final Frontier. And then we wrapped it up with a discussion in Neale's new book, The God Solution, the power of love, the power of pure love. So here, we're at the end of the hour. Let me invite my partners here, Noah, Jim Gray. If you guys want to come behind the camera. There are two guys here in the studio that make this all possible. There's Noah. All right. And here's Jim Gray. So, hey, thank you, guys. Here they are. That's Jim. So, thank you, Jim. Yeah, these guys do all the heavy lifting. Neale and I have just been sitting here yakking. Thank you. Also, I want to thank Dee Meyer, Karen Gordon, Garth Catterall, my other partners in Humanities team that helped make this broadcast possible, and that some of them are out on Facebook and in humanities.team on Neale's page, the Sign Network, bringing in comments so we can respond to those. So huge thank you to all of you. Thank you, viewers. Want to bring Neale back on screen if he's here. There we go, Neale. Neale, thank you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. It's been wonderful to be here with you. Yeah. Let's
fantastic.
Do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do this. Yeah, you'll see a lot more of Neale and I together here this year. Global Oneness Summit, the God Solution Workshop, other real cool stuff. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Neale. Everybody have a fabulous Friday afternoon and weekend. And we'll be back noon Pacific next week with another special guest. Thanks, everybody. Namaste.